A common theme to a survival situation is that people may find themselves in a place and at a time they didn't expect, and are ill-prepared or relying on the all-too-familiar normalcy bias, which is a mental state people have when facing a disaster. It causes people to underestimate both the possibility of a disaster and its possible effects instead of taking evasive action. Although this is a normal response, there are dangers that stem from this bias. What makes this coping mechanism so dangerous is that it causes people to underestimate both the possibility of a disaster occurring and its effects. No doubt that many of you have witnessed this when trying to discuss your disaster preparation plans with friends and family. They either just don't get it or don't want to get it. This reminds me of a popular saying we have all grown up around: ignorance is bliss. Many of us live under this veil of ignorance so they don't have to deal with the realities involved in disaster preparation. Here are the 3 ways that the normalcy bias can hinder one's preparedness efforts. Number 1, taking a disaster lightly. Some people are not aware of the vast types of natural disasters that could hit the area they live in. Therefore, they just don't see a need to prepare for them. On the other hand, they may not want to understand the ramifications of the disaster because it is too intense or will cause too much emotional strain. In the National Geographic's popular television series American Blackout, a majority of the disaster victims didn't realize how far-reaching the cyber attack could be on their way of life, and they suffered as a result. Number 2, not properly or adequately preparing for the disaster. The idea of making lists, buying supplies, and worrying can be intimidating at best, and also bring on unwanted stress. Not only are they underestimating the possibility of a disaster, but the side effects as well. They may believe that the government and disaster organizations will save the day, but there is no need to fully prepare. Number 3, it hasn't happened yet, so why prepare for it? The assumption that is made in the case of the normalcy bias is that since a disaster has not occurred yet, it will never occur. It also results in the inability of people to cope with a disaster once it occurs because they still haven't accepted that it occurred. People also tend to interpret warnings in the most optimistic way possible, seizing on any ambiguities to infer a less serious situation. The brain is the most complex muscle in the body, and we have to regularly train to perform the way we need it to. The power to survive stems from the mental preparedness we have trained ourselves for. Start by making the unknown familiar. Using visualization techniques and educating yourself on past events and how victims survived will help condition your mind to think in terms of contingencies and plan for action. Create a trigger. This is the single most important thing that will make you want to live and survive. There's also hope. Situational awareness. When you are aware of what's going on in your environment, you can react more quickly to what is occurring. By breaking up the enormity of preparedness into smaller compartmentalized sections, that will help you concentrate on one task at a time until the end result is met. Start by following the 5 P's of preparedness with any disaster you are planning for. Prioritize, plan, prepare, practice. That'll give you peace of mind.